Hi, my name is Iman from the Immigrant Resource Center of Maine. Instead of monthly trainings, we will switch to weekly community education videos as part of a new monthly topical series. We're continuing to focus on sexual assault awareness in Maine as part of April's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. This week, our focus is on explaining sexual assault and its ramifications for sexual assault victims and survivors both in Maine and beyond. Sexual assault is a horrific crime in which a person intentionally violates another person's autonomy by coercing physical touch or sexual acts. Sexual assault includes the following: rape, molestation, unwanted sexual contact, sexual harassment, exploitation, and violence, incest, child sexual abuse, and human trafficking. Sexual assault is a violent act not limited to women. It's a crime that affects all genders and ages, as men, boys, transgendered individuals can be victims while women can be perpetrators. It's important to recognize how the crime affects every member of our society. Sexual assault and violence against women is a major violation of human rights and a public health problem, according to the World Health Organization. 1 out of 3 women around the world have experienced some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. Victims and survivors coming from places with conflict and displacement exacerbate sexual and other forms of violence against women. One of the major causes of sexual violence against women is the acceptance of disparity in gender equality and norms. Some of these unequal norms involve the following: promotion or acceptance of male sexual entitlement, almost non-existent legal help for sexual violence, family honor and sexual purity taking prevalence over the protection from sexual violence. While women are predominantly victims of sexual assault on a global stage, men and boys continue to go unrecognized as victims and survivors of sexual assault. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 67 men in the U.S. have experienced rape. Despite the large number of rapes occurring throughout the U.S., only 5 out of 1,000 perpetrators will be prosecuted and punished by the justice system. Moreover, rape continues to be underreported, with 63% of sexual assaults going unreported. These issues may reflect how victims often know and or trust their rapists. In 2015, calls concerning child sexual abuse made up half of all reports to Maine's sexual assault crisis and support line. Around 10% of Maine high school students report that they've been forced to have sex. About 20% of all Mainers have reported that they were victims of rape or attempted rape in their lifetime. In addition to that stat, about 14,000 Mainers may experience some form of sexual assault every year. While women make up a large portion of victims, it's important to recognize boys and men can also be part of that statistic. In 2013, almost 20% of Maine's sexual assault crisis and support line calls were from men. We need to make sure we're acknowledging and supporting our male rape victims so they feel supported enough to report their assault. According to Preble Street Resource Center, almost half the homeless women interviewed by them reported being a victim of sexual assault while being homeless. According to SASM, only 13% of sexual assault cases were reported by police, 6% to protective services, 5% to school authorities, and 1.3% to other authorities according to the National Survey of Adolescents. There's a huge misconception that a significant portion of reported rapes are false. These misconceptions have very negative consequences because it leads to victims not being believed or discouraged from reporting their sexual assaults. Only 2 to 8% of reported rapes are actually false. Immigrant and refugee victims of sexual assault face cultural, social, and other personal obstacles when trying to report and receive help. Immigrant and refugee victims are more at risk of sexual assault and not receiving help because of a lack of knowledge around legal help and their rights. They also face a lack of resources and language access and services to help them through the process of receiving help. Consequently, victims and survivors face the additional difficulties of language barriers, an unfamiliar culture, and fear over losing their status as immigrants or refugees. For survivors, there's also the risk of being triggered with volatile memories from their past. Many organizations and government programs that serve immigrant and refugee communities often lack the expertise and training in serving victims with culturally and linguistically specific needs. Moreover, these providers aren't aware of where to access legal options to properly help immigrant and refugee survivors. Immigrant refugee victims also face the risk of losing their cultural community and family by coming forward. This is because the perpetrators are often family members or those in close proximity to the victim. It's important to try to get to a safe place and to avoid showering or changing clothes to preserve physical evidence. Call a trusted friend or family member to support and advocate for you through receiving medical attention or reporting the crime. If you choose to seek medical help, go to your closest or local hospital's emergency room to receive help for any injuries you may have. Rape kits are available to victims while they're seeking medical help. Victims have the choice to consent or not to the rape kit. If they choose to do the rape kit, they may choose whether or not they want to use the kit as evidence for prosecution. While prosecution is the victim's choice, it's strongly recommended to report their rape. You may report your rape via different outlets. If you're a college student on campus, please reach out to your university's police. Other victims may report their rape by contacting their local police via 911. It's very important to seek a support system to help you cope through and after this process. Reach out to a counselor and other forms of emotional support to help you begin the process of healing. As a possible support system or outlet for the victim, it's important to do the following. Believe and actively listen to their story without judgments or opinions. Encourage them to seek medical help. Support whatever choice they make for their well-being. Suggest any resources and counseling that can help them. And most importantly, build and respect their trust. The coronavirus, or COVID-19, had made access to clinics and certain resources very difficult for sexual assault victims up until now. Victims are at a greater risk of abuse and exploitation because they do not have the ability to leave their unsafe situation due to the restrictions on where they may go. Children are even at a high risk of experiencing abuse as a rise of abuse cases are being reported across the country during this crisis. It's important to keep track of these rising cases as the crisis continues.